Hey everybody, this is the Anime Trainer. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a death battle about two series that are not anime at all, but something that kind of has been grinding my gears a little bit recently because my son has been showing me some little short battles, and they're super biased, and I really hate it. We've been really into this show called The Owl House recently, and there's a fantastic character in it called the Collector, and people seem to be wanting to put him up against Bill Cipher. I'm going to let Isaiah introduce kind of his idea of why he wanted to do this video real quick. But before we get into that, go ahead and like this video for me and subscribe to the channel because that's something that we do here.
Hi guys, my name's Isaiah. I'm his son, his favorite son, because I'm his only son. I grew up with both of these shows. I'm growing up with The Owl House right now, and the reason I love both shows so much is just because they vibe off of each other. They both radiate the same energy, as the kids say. And I don't think it's a fair comparison because of just the power scaling that these two characters have. Because two characters that aren't in the same universe, you can't base them off of anything of each other except feats. And based on the feats, in my professional opinion...
We'll get into that in just a minute. First of all, let's kind of like, give the tail of the tape. Let's stack these two guys up against each other. Fight! 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 Actually, everybody already knows the bias. Because Bill Cipher's been winning like crazy in all of these little shorts.
He should not be.
And it's just, they list some just insane things in there that sometimes don't even make any sense. It's like God, devil. It's like, what are these stats? They're not strength, they're not durability, they're just random words that you associate it with.
This is the worst scam I've ever run.
One I keep seeing is just, it says better character for Bill Cipher.
What does that have to do with the fight?
This isn't the mobile game Love Nikki. We're not seeing who's prettier here.
Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go over some of the feats that we have of both of them and show why Bill Cipher is not on. I'm just going to bury the lead. Bill Cipher is not beating the Collector, and here's why.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the main category, the fun one, powers. So we're going to look at Bill Cipher first. If you look at his powers, you can see that he has matter manipulation, he has a high physical durability, and I would say a high magical durability, if that would be different than physical.
I mean, I think that's probably a little bit different.
He can shoot powerful energy blasts. Mind you, the only couple powerful energy blasts we've seen is against humans, and one thing we have no information about how strong it is. He can create chaos bubbles that literally just create randomness when you go into it. He can spawn random monsters, and he can somewhat defy the laws of physics, which kind of ties in with matter manipulation. He can use somebody like a puppet by making a deal, which is one of his more manipulative tricks, but he does have to have their permission, and they have to shake his hand willingly. He has flight and telekinesis, and he mentioned that he had power over time.
Now that dumb baby's out of the way, time itself!
But we never see any evidence of this whatsoever, so it could be a blank statement or it could be true. So we're just going to leave that at not having a power of that because
we don't have any evidence.
We don't have any evidence.
Deal with it.
Now, if we go to the powers of the Collector, he also has matter manipulation. He can do puppetry without people's permission. He has insane physical durability. He has extremely strong strength as well. He has extremely powerful telekinesis. He can create automated magic that works in the background, like on autopilot, while he's sleeping, for example, or just doing other things. And he can fly.
So you can see why they would put these two characters together. They seem to have some very similar abilities, and in some ways they make deals in a similar fashion. So you can definitely see why they would be like cosmic opponents that you would want to put them together. But I think people are just giving Bill a little too much credit.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
Because they're basing it more off of the fan art, I believe, that you can see him do, where he's literally a god.
I've literally not seen any of this.
It exists. There's fan art where he's like beating Goku because reasons, when you can't pit Goku up against most people because it's unfair.
Yeah, I mean, honestly...
I like how he said it's not about anime.
Okay, yeah, it's not about anime. But anyway, are we ready for the feats yet, or you have anything leading
Weaknesses.
up before? Weaknesses, okay.
So the weaknesses of Bill Cipher, this is really what takes the cake for the collector besides feats of strength. Bill Cipher has a lot of weaknesses. His first one, physical, would be his eye. His eye is his weak point because he only has one. It hurts him a lot, and it renders him basically useless because he can't see and he has to pay attention to heal it.
What do we have as a record of him being hurt in the eye?
He gets sprayed with spray paint by Mabel, and he has to cover his eye and he can't do anything. He also gets his eye ripped out by a giant T-Rex arm because Gravity Falls is awesome, and he has to sit there and do nothing because it's just an empty hole and he can't do anything without having his eye.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty damnable weakness right
Yeah.
there.
Now, it does seem pretty difficult to get to. Like, if he's paying attention, he can just kind of form a shield around him, because you can see that when Dipper tries to punch him, that it just blocks his punch without him having to really try. But again, that's also against a human, also a human teenager that isn't athletic whatsoever.
I can't fight. I've never been in a fight before. Look at these noodle arms.
His other weakness is his self-interest and his arrogance. He believes that he's better than everybody else because he's never been beat before. But then when he starts getting too arrogant, he gets cocky, which makes him sloppy, and then he ends up losing. Now, one of his weaknesses could possibly be magnetism shields, and the reason I listed this as possibly is because Ford talks about that there is a Gravity Falls weirdness magnetism that's around the entire city of Gravity Falls.
Gravity Falls' natural law of weirdness magnetism.
That way nothing weird could leave.
As it turns out, my weirdness can't escape the magical confines of this town. There's something keeping me in.
And his sadistic nature also causes him to make mistakes because he can be busy torturing somebody and somebody else can sneak up behind him.
Okay.
We've seen some evidence of this when he's, being cocky, partying, and then things show up that stop him and make him have to try.
I like that guy's style.
Now, for the collector's weaknesses, the thing is, he has one weakness that we've seen, and it's the fact that he can be really easily manipulated. Now, I think this is why a lot of people might be saying, besides of the bias, might be saying that he would win because Bill Cipher is great at manipulating people. He just has that charismatic feature and finds you when you're really desperate and in need of attention and, preys on that weakness.
Someone's looking desperate. I can help you, kid.
But if you're doing a death battle, these two characters are at each other's throats.
If they're already at the point of we're fighting.
Yeah, there's no
There's no
negotiation.
talk, no jutsu going on here.
There's no talking. It's fighting.
I mean, that's not to say that you couldn't trick somebody in the middle of combat, but most of the tricking and manipulation that you see Bill Cipher do doesn't have anything to do with being tricksy in combat.
No, he doesn't really have the highest battle IQ. He does show some of it when he's fighting the Mystery Shack animatronic crap. I don't remember what it's called.
It's the Shacktron, dude!
When he's fighting the Mystery Shack, when it has all of its mechatronic features, he does realize that it's not fully covered with a rune magic that protects it, so he grabs the Achilles heel, flips it over. So he has some natural common sense.
I think you just found another weakness.
Yeah, you're right, because I was going to get to that. Bill Cipher is definitely just smarter than the Collector, both in terms of IQ and common sense, because the Collector's a very childlike person while Bill Cipher is ageless.
Oh, I know lots of things.
Lots of things.
And Bill Cipher is immature, but he's immature in more of an annoying way, not so much as acting like a 4-year-old way.
Pizza! Bagels!
I also think you found a weakness for Bill Cipher.
He's immature?
No, it is the fact that there is magic that seems to counter him.
A way to bill-proof the shack.
That's true. I might not have done enough research for this.
That's okay. I think we've done more than enough research than the people who make these shorts.
Exactly, because we may not have done all the research, but at least we're providing our evidence. We're citing our sources.
We've got something instead of just a minute or a minute and a half video of obviously this guy wins, no difficulty.
Makes me want to find people.
You don't know diddly dang about squiddly squat.
Now we're going to my personally favorite, which is the feats of strength. Feats of strength for Bill Cipher. He one-shot Time Baby, which, again, we have no evidence that he's even powerful.
Well, yeah, okay, the only thing that we have to go on about Time Baby being powerful is that he's in control of whatever's going on with the Time Alliance thing.
Crap.
And so he's a big enough force to keep that sort of gelled together, but we don't know anything about Time Baby's capabilities except for the fact that he can travel through time.
Actually, no, that's not entirely true. We have seen him do fighty things before, but we don't know how powerful.
Yeah, we don't know how powerful though.
His other feat of strength is he created an entire castle unconsciously. So, somewhat like the Collector, he can have automation with his magic, but it also seems that most of his strength stems from his friends and his henchmen that are loyal to him because of how powerful he is in this universe. He said he burned his dimension and then that he liberated it, but that could have been a purely political statement, could have been a literal statement. It's a statement that we have no evidence for.
Yeah, we don't know how long it took him to do that. We don't know the methodology that he operated in. It's not like he just like one-shotted his entire universe or soloed his verse in, like that.
So many questions! Ow!
Yeah, so he may have destroyed his entire dimension, but that is a very big assumption, so we're not gonna count that.
His life ain't fair.
Just like the time travel thing.
I honestly, even if you count it, it's such a vague thing. We have no idea how long it took him to do it. And we don't know the means by which he did it. He could have used like a weapon in that dimension that only exists in that dimension, and he used like, I'm gonna press the history eraser button.
That does seem like something that Gravity Falls would do.
You just pressed a button, you didn't do anything.
Yeah. Now, the feats of strength that the Collector has are fun.
We have fun here.
First off, he casually one-shot the most powerful character in the dimension at the time.
Now, mind you, Belos is trash compared to the Collector.
And Bill Cipher.
Bill Cipher could one-shot him, yeah. So that's not...
Because Belos is, even though he is very powerful with magic, because the Collector taught him
still just
the
a
most
dude.
powerful type of magic.
I taught you magic stronger than anybody's.
He is still just a conceited human.
When he's fighting Luz manages to hurt him with just like plain ice magic.
She manages to use her battle IQ and anime trope powers to shoot an ice spike through his face. Mind you, it does only damage his mask, not really him.
Yeah. But I mean, she managed to hit him.
She managed to hit him, yes.
And I mean, he's still just a guy, even with all the magic.
Also, he got bested by a bunch of kids. Remember when he took control of Hunter?
Yeah.
Yeah, he took control of Hunter and they pushed him out. Because crying fixes everything in cartoons. Except Gravity Falls.
Emotional issues.
Now, he moved the moon with no effort. This is probably the biggest one.
This is his biggest feat, honestly.
He put his finger over the moon, said, and moved it over. And this isn't like even delayed telekinesis, like how you see in shows like Stranger Things, where it takes a little bit of time after you do an action for it to happen. It was instantaneous.
Yeah, so that means he made some sort of like connection with the moon that is hundreds of thousands of miles away, and then managed to move it an additional hundreds of thousands of miles in its orbit, and did so casually
and instantaneously.
It just did it. It wasn't like, oh, it's gonna move slowly. Nope, it's over there now.
And now this could be counted as either really, really, really powerful telekinesis, which you do see him use telekinesis in another scene, or he has, since they called him a child from the stars,
A child from the stars.
he could have some cosmic abilities, but we don't have any more
Yeah,
evidence
I mean,
of that.
so we don't have enough evidence for that. It is possible that he has some sort of weird cosmological kinesis. I don't know what that would even be called, but like control over planetary bodies in some form or fashion. But regardless, he casually moved the moon of a planet. So if he can do that, that means he can just move the moon. What if you get hit with a moon? He would hit you with the moon.
He's really gonna pull a Majora's Mask on this movie.
Now that is a fight I'd watch.
Now, this is personally probably one of my favorites. Even though it's kind of a boring one, I just like it. The Titans. The Titans in this show, The Owl House, are powerful enough to fight the Collectors.
My powers don't work on King, 'cause he's a Titan!
Supposedly, kind of like Doctor Who, he's the last of the war. of both races. He's the last of the war. But we don't know if the other collectors were more powerful than him.
Yeah, I mean, that's all speculation, especially since he's so childlike. You would assume that he's not fully developed.
Yes, you would assume that, but you know, cartoon tropes. Halflings and children are more powerful than the adults.
Okay, that does happen.
And Owl House is not afraid of using anime tropes in its stories.
It is definitely not afraid of that.
It's basically just an anime, if you think about it.
This looks ancient.
His magic works in the background while he's sleeping, with the unconscious making a castle and doing things.
He created a pocket dimension to sleep in.
He also turned almost every single person in the Boiling Isles, which I guess we're gonna assume is as big as Earth, supposedly.
No, because the Boiling Isles is just the Boiling Isles. There's other, from other titans.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so the Boiling Isles is probably the size of a country. He turned an entire country, almost an entire country, minus like maybe 35 people, into puppets, and can have all of them doing different things simultaneously.
And did it against their will. He doesn't need their permission.
And I just like to mention this one because it's funny. He created a Kirby star and can fly on it. We don't know how fast it can go, but it went a decent speed. I just thought that was funny.
Remarkable.
We're going to go to age, because that's the last category. It's the last one I could think of, because I feel that it has some importance with wisdom and such. So Bill Cipher's age is like at least 5,000 years, because we've seen him in hieroglyphics from the ancient Egyptians, which were about 5,000 years ago, and that's the oldest reference we have of him, so he has to be at least that old, because we have no evidence he has time travel powers. Even though he said he does now, I'm pretty sure what he was actually just saying is, nobody else can control time, therefore it's under my rule, as in, just nobody else can mess with time now, since he believes he's the king of the
I mean,
earth.
honestly, if he had time travel powers, that seems like a really good time to use them. You know what I mean?
When you're about to die.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, absolutely.
The collector, I'm gonna say he's at least 1,000.
We have no idea how old he is.
Okay, we know for a fact he's at least 400.
Here's the thing. He's got to be older than the Titans. Like, when they were alive, he had to have existed during that time period. Even if he was just like a little baby.
I know, that's what I'm saying, because he met Philip, or Delos, 400 years ago, when the Salem witch trials were still going on, which I called, by the way. He has to be at least 400 years old, considering he met Philip at that time, but he was already banished to a disc. And he also mentioned when he was talking to King, your dad would never let me play with you, which means that King is also very old.
I've always wanted to play with you, but your dumb pops hid you.
Somehow. Who knows how the egg thing works. Anyway, the point is that collector is old enough to have been around when the Titans were around, which the Titans are basically the land which other stuff grows and lives on. So who knows how long that's been? It could have been tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years.
And the collectors also seem to be a species that likes to go planet to planet and, who would know, collect things.
Collectors live long, we watch things pass. To preserve, to observe, we must amass. What flies, what swims, be it predator or prey, seal them up so that they never fade.
And then it said something about
Them burning it down or something.
if they didn't listen, or if anybody tried to stop them, they would burn it to the ground. Which the collector does not seem to be a violent person. He is an ignorant person. He doesn't know when he's hurting people, or he just doesn't care, because he doesn't seem to have a sarcastic nature. He doesn't seem to be smart enough.
You act like I'm doing something bad, but I'm just having fun.
Do you not understand what death means to mortals?
Like when he one-shot Bellows, he didn't seem conceited. He didn't seem like he was just saying, let's play tag, and then kill him on purpose. He was actually just trying to play tag, and just booped Bellows into oblivion. So, how I think this fight is going, because honestly, I don't even see these two characters fighting. If we're being honest,
but if we have to put them together,
if we would put them in a fight against each other, the collector would win because of everything we just said. But also, there's no also.
It feels so obvious, but no one believes me.
Okay. So people like to list things like, you know, their battle IQ and their strength and their endurance and their durability and their magical ability. And from what we've seen of the feats, for the most part, the collector stomps in every category.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say with the also. The reason that the collector stops is you could argue that, oh well, Bill Cipher might have had more powerful feats, but we just haven't seen them. Let's even say he did. We'll give him that. He had more feats we haven't seen. Maybe they're more impressive than the collectors. Here's the thing. Everything we've seen him do, plus things we haven't seen him do, he had to try. The collector did everything as if he literally didn't have to try. The difficulty of having to snap.
Yeah, we haven't seen the collector have to exert himself at all. He has like casual control over basically whatever he wants to. And who knows the depths of the magic that he understands if he looks at Bill Cipher and goes, hey, that's a magical being. These particular runes are great for those. And, you know, it's like all of a sudden, oh, I'm been banished to another dimension, or I'm trapped inside of a little box, or who knows.
And we know that if he's fighting Bill Cipher in his physical form, Bill Cipher has flesh. Bill Cipher has somewhat of organs and bones, as you can see when Ford shoots him with the gun and misses. You see his flesh split apart and then heal back. So he does have a healing factor, but it seems that if you hit him in the center, he's gonna die. Just like a shot to the heart, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it does seem like the eye thing is a big weakness. The magical rune thing is a big weakness.
Heck, if the collector figured out and he didn't want to kill Bill Cipher, he could just banish him, because he would most likely already know the circle that they use to try and banish Bill Cipher. And he would just teleport to Gravity Falls, grab all the people, put them in the circle, and then be like, do it.
The native people of Gravity Falls prophesized that these symbols could create a force strong enough to vanquish Bill.
You just got ridiculous magical knowledge, and that's part of the main reason that he's going to stomp, is because even if all of his feats are magically based, Bill Cipher's got nothing for that. He's got nothing for that.
Also to mention, we've seen Bill Cipher do some impressive things, I will admit that. He only does them against humans. And the collector is fighting people that are, yes, they're humans, but they're not. They're more powerful humans. They know magic, they have durability,
some of them are monsters. You know, the point is that some of them, they're plainly stronger than the people in Gravity Falls.
This may be wrong. If it is, whatever. But I'm pretty sure they said something in the Owl House about that Titan's skulls and their bones were extremely durable.
This isn't a normal cave. These walls are made from the veins of the Titan. Any magic you shoot will bounce right back at you.
And the collector casually ripped it apart.
And made a castle. Yeah.
So, there's no further explanation needed. And if somebody can support this argument that's unsupportable,
we'd be happy to have that discussion if you would like to have it in the comments.
Everybody's entitled to their incorrect opinion.
Remember, this is a safe, non-judgmental environment. I'll just be right off to the side judging you on a scale from 1 to 10.
But honestly, in this one, I don't see how I think this is one of those cases where this is people liking a character, having a more popular opinion about a character, and then saying, oh, well, that means that they win. It's like when people say SSJ to, young Gohan versus SSJ to Kaba from Dragon Ball Super. And they're like, oh, SSJ to Gohan, from the Cell Saga stomps. No.
Kaba was fighting Vegeta.
Kaba wrecks in base. Done.
He was fighting Vegeta and winning.
Or it's something where it's like, you take like, oh, it's SpongeBob versus, whatever. And it's like,
SpongeBob versus Goku.
I don't know this other character, so I'm going to give it to SpongeBob. It's like, or I happen to like this character more, so I'm going to give it to that character.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Just because you like a character more doesn't mean that they win.
You assume everything positive about your character
and everything negative about the other character. Because I like both of these characters. I don't have a dog in the fight of liking one more than the other.
Bill Cipher is my favorite character in Gravity Falls. And the Collector is like my third or fourth favorite character in the Owl House. Because Hunter is a sweet cinnamon bun and we need to protect him. And also, Flapjack.
Oh, Flapjack.
And King.
So yeah, honestly, I think that it's pretty much a wash. When people say that Bill Cipher no diffs the Collector, I really think that is projection. It's the other way around. The Collector is washing Bill Cipher.
City boy! City boy!
They need to do research.
None of those videos that I've seen have had any amount of evidence to back up what they've
Well,
been
I have
said.
seen one video.
Well, you've probably seen a lot more than I.
Listen, a lot of 15-year-olds don't do research about their claims, but I was taught that if you can't support an argument, it's not an argument, it's an opinion, an empty statement. So, I, for an hour and a half, just looked through YouTube to find any video that had a shred of evidence about Bill Cipher versus the Collector. I found one. It was about a 1.5-minute explanation. It also assumed that Bill Cipher had time control, which you can't assume because it's never proven. Because on the other side of the argument, you could argue that the Collector is literally God.
Well, that's pretty much it, guys. I think that we've made a case, which is, I think, more than other people have done. Whether or not it's a good case, you guys can make that decision. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you listening to us rant about this for a little bit. Isaiah has been trying to get this video made for a couple of weeks, and he's excited to have been a part of it, right? You're excited?
My favorite food is bread.
It was the yeast I could do.
Okay, all right. Thank you guys very much for watching. And until next time, guys, I'm the Anime Trainer. Good luck and train hard. And we do have a link for a free Discord below here. There's also a link where you can get some real anime training, the Anime Trainer swag, so that you can represent the channel out, and it does help support everything, so check that out for me. Thank you very much. And I want to say a special thank you to all of our patrons. You guys have been amazing. I appreciate it a lot.
Whoa!